What's up, Ian? Good to see you as well. Ashitano. Welcome to everybody that's slowly showing up. Simulation Talk 154. Nico, how are you, brother? Curtis. Elusive Truth. Ambient Glasses in the house. How are you, brother? Привет, как дела? Хорошо. We'll give a few more moments for everybody to show up. Okay. Master Stan, that's a great name. What up, Van Dweller? Good to see you. Tango thoughts indeed, Hillbilly Herb. Herb. See, I see it in the European style, not herb. Okay, Luna. Okay, welcome everybody to Simulation Talk 154, the channel that revolves around the simulation hypothesis. And yeah, that smoke escalated me to also being all stuffy, but feeling great. However, I do believe that today I'm going to make it relatively shorter than the other ones just because I'm trying to get some sleep a little earlier today. But let's have some fun in the time that we do have and in the time that my throat allows me for. Yodels? What's up, Simon? Good to see you. Did I read your travels? I read some of your messages in English, not all of them. Unfortunately, at the moment, it's even busier than usual, especially with all the craziness that's going on. Okay. Got the sniffles. Well, it started with the crazy smoke in LA, and then I guess it influenced my sinuses as well. But yeah. Couple shots of tequila will take that cold away, brother. I'm not sure it's the cold. I think it might be related to the smoke. Also, I don't drink, but thanks for the advice. What's up, Flapamsy? What's up, Sofa King? You moved out of LA in 2005? Well, that's a while ago. What's up, Sahara? Artica is in the house. How are you? Привет, привет. Okay. We try and do an introduction in the amount of energy, the most energy I have. Tsaka Alem. Alem. How do you pronounce that? Beautiful name. Okay, everybody. Welcome to Simulation Talk 154, the channel that revolves around the simulation hypothesis. My name is Danny, and even though it does sound like I have a cold, I'm claiming that I found proof that we live in a simulation. I'm going to have to go into the code and fix my whatever it is that I have. A few years ago, I discovered that if you project a diffracted laser on the surface and ingest a spirit molecule, you will see code running in surfaces. And now, 1 second. This is a sexy chat today. This observation has now been substantiated all over the world, probably a couple thousand times, and got the attention of some pretty interesting people, including scientists, people in the government. And Nico is saying that Eddie Bravo said that flat Earth theory is more reasonable than the simulation theory. He's right. But nothing trumps the sausage theory. We all know that. Even in San Diego, you have strange air? Really? Because we're in Orange County and the air here is okay. But I had to go back today to grab some things. Exactly. I need to delete the code for my cold or whatever this is. And also, space is fake, according to Eddie, by the way. So that's incredible. Kelsey's laughing. It is amazing. First of all, we don't know. You know, might be. Nobody has of us have ever been to space, so as far as I'm concerned, it might be true. Cold code, which, by the way, when you have a cold, you can't really make a distinction between these two words when you're saying them. Always good to see you as well, John Doe. Whoa. Mimic, that's pretty heavy. I don't know if you're joking. If you're joking, it's not that funny. If you're not joking, I'm happy that you're with us. Um, Stick around, please. What's up, Funkworm? Good to see you, man. I haven't seen you in a long time. How have you been? All right. So to all the newcomers, we show up here almost every single day to discuss the my discovery or my claimed discovery, the experiment, what its implications, as well as science in general, religion, spirituality, philosophy, God, and food fetishes as of the integration of Yev into the chat. I think it's too late for him at this point, but hopefully tomorrow will come on a little earlier so he can join. How was life, Funkworm? Anything new? The fire smoke is his throat problem, and apparently nose problem. Good for you, John. That's wonderful. What's up, Nash Vegas? Thank you for joining from Twitch. If you are on TikTok and you want to watch a larger uh, swath of my content, go visit my YouTube channel, which is Dango Thoughts, Dango Thoughts, which include the longer versions of all the videos that you see here on TikTok, as well as the full conversations from which all of these clips are from. And I've added membership program on YouTube, which gives people the opportunity to talk to me on Zoom, both in groups and even privately, depending on the tier of the subscription and the membership, as well as early access to all my videos and a weekly live, aside from the daily lives, which is made for members only. And I'm adding a bunch of content there very, very soon from my private life. Lovely Widows, thank you so much. I appreciate you as always. Thank you for the ring. Um, I would like to thank all the members that already joined because it helps me keep doing this work more full time. And I want to thank all the incredible people that are donating their time and hard won money to help the channel grow, like actually Lovey Whittles, who is helping us to organize the Discord group, which you're welcome to join, the link to which you can find also on YouTube, as well as Ebony, her and Ben and a few other people were literally gifting people memberships. They did it quite a few times, almost every single day for a while. So thank you so much for doing all of this. Ben, how are you? This is incredibly beneficial. So now my job is to keep everybody happy so they stay members so we can keep doing this full time. So I'm grateful to all of you as well to all the people that showing up every single day. That is also extremely valuable because it builds the community that we have. If you are in one of the chats, doesn't matter if you're on TikTok or YouTube or Twitch or X, if you want to give the love, well, you definitely want to give the love. But if you want to give the live a like or a love, the actual thumbs up button wherever you are, that definitely helps the algorithm to pick up the live and advertise it to more people. So thank you so much for all the people that are already doing that. And if you haven't already, please, that will be extremely beneficial. Also, if you are on Twitch, uh, help us grow on Twitch. Go and join LaserX83 because the more we have there, eventually I'll be able to retain the lives in real time after the live is over, and it will draw more crowd. So if you are on Twitch, please go and join. This will be extremely helpful. It is LaserX83. That's the handle. Okay, I think it's enough housekeeping. Let's dive into whatever we got to do. Thank you, Evgeny. I appreciate you. Evgeny Vorobey. Is it okay if I call you Zhenya? TikTok announced they will actually get banned on the 19th, so I will start streaming on Twitch. Awesome. Also, that's crazy. They will officially be banned? Let me get through some of these messages. I was meditating, Artica is saying, and I got the vision that we can see only worlds that we will create, but we can't see our creators who created us. What do you think? It's hard for me to comment on that aside from, at least from my experience, I think they showed me the creators. Now, I don't think they actually saw what the creators really are, but they showed me where they are in the structure. Also, yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to know, right? The truth of these matters. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate you for the sub. Also, Brian is in the house. How are you, my brother? Good to see you here. I saw your mention on Joe Rogan. That's great. Thank you so much, Funkworm. I thought it was great as well. All the love to you too. Love you, Whittles. Maybe I'll go on Rogan. Hopefully soon. X and YouTube. Mike, you're the man. TikTok's gone, huh? Yeah. How are you, Brian? Ben, how you doing, my brother? The first time you showed someone else the experiment, and they also saw what you were seeing. What was that moment like for you? I mean, it was just a verification. It was kind of. I have to admit that that was one of the first kind of like, oh my god, like this is happening kind of moments. I mean, it was kind of obvious to me when I saw it myself. I think the second you see it, you don't really need anybody else to tell you. You kind of know. But the fact that it was visible for other people, like I knew it was real the second I saw it. But when somebody else could also see it, that was a crazy moment because that means it allowed itself to be visible to other people because that usually doesn't happen. So yeah, that was a pretty big one. Yeah, the pictures from LA are crazy, but we actually had to evacuate a few days ago because we were in Pasadena, right beneath where all the craziness was happening. Thank you for the advice, Simon. I appreciate you. What's up, JH? You predict in the molecule and you look at the laser and see the structure. What do you do next to see the letters and numbers like symbols? And being glasses asking serious talk. When you partake in the molecule and you look in the laser and see the structure, what do you do next to see the letter and number? I don't know. I don't know why people are having a hard time with it sometimes. I have no idea. I wish I would. I think it's just a matter of just staying with it. It just eventually solidifies into coherent image. Yeah, the water quality in Pasadena is definitely a problem. Luckily, we are in a hotel now. Our hearts break truly for all the people. Today, I went back to the building to pick up some things, and it was buzzing with a bunch of people running around looking for apartments because they lost their homes. That was crazy to watch. Just desperation. Oof. We gotta get through this. What's up, Igor? When did you first discover the code? Thank you for the question. Uh, Caleb Dad. Wait, Caleb Sadenio. Sorry, my brain is gone. About 3 years ago. What's up, boy? The documentary will probably be ready in about 7 to 9 months. We don't really know until we get to the last 3 months of production. So I think the answer will keep being 7 to 8 months until we know it's about 3 months. Because it's just how it works in production. 9 months. It keeps going. The video. Oh, you're talking about. So, John, you're probably talking about the trailer. I released the first video that was talking about that eventually connected me with the director, Aaron Vanden, who's the incredible director of the film, and also the guy who actually created the trailer. He reached out to me because of the first video that I put out a few years ago, and then started interacting with people on Reddit. So if you go to my channel, Dango Thoughts on YouTube, Dango Thoughts, you will find a video that has a thumbnail with a guy looking with VR glasses up. It's like a purple color. I think it says "I discovered we live in simulation." There's only one like that. You can't miss it. That's the first video I ever put out on the subject. So it's at this point, I guess it's kind of historic. Actually, if you're on TikTok, you can just follow the link tree, and you should have a direct link to that video. I like the word psychedelic, but I know it has baggage. Can you explain more on why you want to avoid it in the film? Exactly because of what you just said, that it has baggage. It invokes the wrong kind of ideas and imagery. The word psychedelic at this point is too entangled with alternative culture, which I don't want to be considered as part of. Not because I have anything against it. I don't want to be considered as part of it because part of the idea that I'm trying to um, put forth is that it has nothing to do with drug culture or alternative culture or spiritual culture or what people call psychedelic culture. It has to do with understanding reality, not metaphorically, not philosophically, actually, just like we do in physics. If there's anything that I want to be associated with more than anything else is physics. I know it's a tall order. There you go. But that's what we're gonna do. That's the point of it. Science to me is the enterprise of understanding, as I've said many times before, and I want to popularize this idea. And I didn't even know that apparently I'm part of a larger movement that already is kind of unfolding, which is the decentralized science. I didn't even know it was a thing, but apparently it is, and I'm very happy that it is because it's exactly how it needs to be. And it will be part of a larger tapestry of people that are trying to understand the world, which is exactly what it needs to be. And then when time will come for it to go through the true rigor of what currently we call science, all the measuring tools and universities and all that stuff, that's great. Then all the stuff that the decentralized science collected can now be put through the ringer of hard science where we're actually really testing these ideas. That will actually accelerate progress by a lot. And I do think that there's an art to science. It's an art form because you need a lot of creativity to do good science. You need to come up with very creative ideas of both what things might be, so theoretical frameworks, and how to approach new experimentation of things that we've never done before. All of this requires a lot of creativity. I can't wait either, but I guess we're gonna kind of have to. Simon's saying, "Have you tried to experiment with other light sources?" Yes, it would work with any light source. Oh, you mean any frequency, but not other light sources. You might see other kinds of codes with other lights, but you will not see that code, and you will not even see it with a regular laser. It has to be diffracted, but all frequencies will work as long as they're diffracted. Information physics would be exactly the. But the thing is that with information physics, usually experiments don't really deal with real observation people can discern. It's more kind of the interaction of what information is doing and combining it with thermodynamics. But essentially, what Melvin Vopson is doing, which is incredible, which again, deeply grateful to Melvin for publishing our paper that we wrote with Nico and my fiance to on IPI. But in this case, I think it's a lot more robust than that. Do you have a theory on what may be happening neurologically to produce this effect? I think it allows your brain to take more computational steps per second, which allows you to see more content of reality itself. Sunlight, again, you would see some codes, but you will not see these codes. And I do think that we found something along the lines of a bridge, yes. Art is everything that comes from your heart. So you're saying the blood is art? Continuing the Golar legacy in physics. Whoa. That is heavy. The Golar legacy in physics. As soon as I found you, I knew you had to know Melvin. Well, actually, I was connected to him by Matt um, from Peru. Was this incredible French guy who super curious, very kind, and he reached out to me, and he also started connecting me with a bunch of people. So I'm surrounded by people that are just a blessing that helped me to get this far. No, even cooking, if you cook and you love what you're doing, that's art. Yeah. Well, I think the way I would define art is that any field in which you're making it into an art if you're innovating in it on a regular basis. The art is in the innovation. The magnet doesn't affect the code itself, right? It affects how we see it, as the magnet is part of simulation too. So I don't see how a larger magnet for the Zeeman effect will make the code jump. Can you see this? Yes, I can see that circuit of the universe. And Flap MZ, that's a great comment. That is very well. There's a few technical things there. The first part, I fully agree that I do think that what we see is not the change of the code with the regular magnet, but we see how light is interacting with a magnet in a very fine way that we can't really see without the amount of computational steps that are required to see it with regular. So like only when you adjust the molecule, you have enough of the fuel to see the differences, which is what the real information is. In the case of the Zeeman effect, the reason I think it might actually influence the code is because it creates I think what the code codes for is some fundamental elements of reality, which are quantum. The Zeeman effect is a quantum effect because it influences the actual fundamental substrate. So depending on what heuristics you use, if you use the model of the atom, it creates suborbitals in the atom. That's a fundamental change to material. So that's why I believe we should be able to see some actual, not just scrambling of the code, but some significant jump to a new stable state of the code. Is it true? I don't know, but I have a strong suspicion that it is true. But this is why, because it influences something very fundamental. And the code would be coding for these fundamental elements. How fundamental? That's already the deeper question for sure. But that's a very you're on the right track of thought for sure. So our frame rate changes, but computational irreducibility can change, right? Right, but might want to consider that we are in a in a computationally reducible pocket. That's why we can do science. Otherwise, you would be out of work, Nico. Step by step by step, exactly. As Miki said at the end of the second video I put out on this subject, at the end of the video I put clear and clear. The code is influencing itself though, so there's nothing weird about that. The code is very sophisticated and it literally writes for new environments, so it would be able to interact with itself regardless. It does not it does not make it incoherent. Secrets of the Universe saying, I urgently need to talk to you. First was hard word. Well, you can absolutely email me with anything you would like, which is lasersimulationx@gmail.com. And if you don't want to memorize it, you go to codeofreality.com. My email is listed there. I put it on the screen. But again, it's lasersimulationx@gmail.com. You can tell me what is so urgent. You know, like a person I would meet at a rave, but with evidence. I mean, you might have. Haven't seen, oh, that's cool. Simulation, hardware, software, alphaware, aware, aware. I really like the play on words. Another fun one is that the unit we use to measure resistance is the ohm. And we are a resistor inside the infinite space of energy. That's a fun one as well. Lovey Whittle is saying, haven't seen any talk of this topic in the rave communities, which is mind blowing actually. Well, because this is relatively new. I think soon it will become more and more prominent. Summer is coming. The next summer, I assure you, there's going to be some talks about it. You got it, Fleming. Sci-fi world has begun. uh, what is the significance of Simon, introduction to Kilonta, because I just googled it and it didn't come up with anything. Again, Secrets of the Universe. Email is open. Please email me. Everyone I tell just brushes me off as crazy talk. It's okay. Soon they won't. I'd like to fund you to do a film project. We are working on a film, and if you want to help us with funding, we are definitely welcoming it with gratitude. So please email me and we'll have a conversation. No problem. I believe and I shall witness it soon. Yes. We need more experiments. Yes, we do. When Joe Rogan eventually finds out about this, he will explode. Joe found out about it. He knows about it. What's up, Yoni? I noticed that when I do the molecule, I get tuning fork type sensation. Yeah, you get the vibration going up. Oh yeah, join the Discord or the disco. We should call it the disco. What's up, punkish? The reciprocal of the ohm is the semen. That is very funny. That is very funny. We should email Bob Lazar. Sure. I mean, I honestly don't know what he would add to the project, but maybe cool. He does look like a brilliant guy. Disco very. The reciprocal of almost Steven is very funny. Awesome. Thank you, Secrets of the Universe. I will definitely look at it tomorrow. Today, after this, I'm fainting. It's a long day. No, it's not formal. It's just that I literally don't have enough hours in the day, but I promise I will look at your email tomorrow. Unity community. Yeah, the you got it, Lovey Whittles. The link to Discord is definitely in the YouTube page. Alpha code. So Secrets of the Universe saying it can explain the code of reality right now. It's called the Alpha code. Cool. Is there information on this, or is it just something that you're coming up with? Because I see there's a definition to Alpha code. Is that the same Alpha code that you can find online? No. So the code doesn't go from top to bottom or left to right. It goes to in all directions. It actually is along three axes. So X, Y, Z, and it's moving along three different axes in the X, Y, Z. Cool. Well, again, if you have a message from the Grays, I would love to read about it and to get to the specifics of it. I understand. I wish I could forward images here, but yeah. From what we observe in the laser, it does not have two-dimensional operational levels. It has two-dimensional operational levels, and it has very interesting structures. I can't get over the reciprocal of You killed me, Nico. Wait, what? Imagine the path forward. So means to start, means to stop. Okay. I'm not talking out of your laser experience. I'm just describing the code of this reality. Got it. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I would love to read about it, man. And then we can talk about it. Oh, I didn't even see a message from you, Langway. We also have a message from X. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. This experience runs on alpha. Your experience is GUI. Not sure what that means, brother, but please email me by all means. Just consider that there are a lot more details that I'm aware of that I'm talking about publicly, simply because they're not resting in a very coherent space in terms of operational levels. So until I understand these things more deeply, I don't really talk about them. But I would love to hear what you have to say, so we can connect all of these dots. Okay, cool. Message from X. What does that mean? Oh wait, why didn't I? Dude, it's crazy. How do I? Oh, there you go. Forgot to send you an invite, Nico, if in case you want to come on. Oh, I see, I see, I see. Will the ban impact your work at all? Wait, will the ban? Oh, ban. See, I wrote it. You mean of TikTok? If you mean of TikTok, definitely not, because I think most of my work moved to YouTube anyway. TikTok has been kind of like drifting down. Yeah, TikTok is. I mean, I'm here because I have a lot of loyal listeners here, and they show up every once in a while, so I feel like obligated. But TikTok has been weird. Thank you. Where am I based? I'm in Southern California. Is my name the same on YouTube? No, on YouTube it's Dango Thoughts. Dango Thoughts. Yeah. To all the TikTok, if you are going to be banned, so long and thanks for all the fish. And please come visit me on Dango Thoughts on YouTube. Dango Thoughts. You can also follow all my links in the description. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but it is what it is, right? New beginnings. 2025 started with a lot to say. Secret of the Universe is saying, I'm here to initiate the awakening of mankind. I'm pretty sure there was already moving along. Are you moving some kind of a major dial there? Sure, I understand. I'm just telling you that I, for a fact, know a few people that are part of that process. So the question to you is the gray agenda. So here's what I understand about the grays. You correct me if from according to what you see from your end, the secrets of the universe. The grays are on our level. They are only advanced in physical terms, but not really in multidimensional terms. The ones that are above us, the insectoids, they are on a completely different level, and they're the one that actually running this reality. Is it not what you see? Gonna be a couple billion bored individuals if it does get bananas. I mean, how sure is that? Because like I would imagine that it would be a bigger deal. Like they're not just gonna shut it off on the 19th, right? If they create a ban, there's pretty sure there has to be a procedure to happen, right? Because I never heard anything about this. Sounds like it would be a bigger deal, more announced. Thank you, Eric. You love my Danny Goller channel on YouTube? My old channel. That's so funny. I do have an old channel called Danny Goller. There's some silly things out there. Oh my god. It's like a different lifetime. It feels wrong to delete it, but it's really funny. I have like 80 followers there. I was putting some old talks there, and I have some rant about Vipassana, and I think my Ninja Warrior run is there, and some random clips of my parkour days. It is kind of like memory lane. It's kind of hilarious. Go parkour, sir. Shut off the massive switch that says USA. Love you what it'll say. No one knows. It's like jailhouse lawyer talk. Gonna be yeah. Do more lasers give a larger viewing area? Yeah, that's what it would do. They are to you as you are to Mario when you pick up the game controller. So, from what I understand, the secrets of the universe, and again, it's just my observation in this space for a long time. The ones that are like that, they are to us what we are to Mario, are the insectoids, not the grays. But I mean, I'm always open for other information. It's just that it will need to be strong because I see them all the time and I talk to them all the time. And they are a lot more real than anything I've ever seen in the UAP community. The glass of water helps with somehow to make it more coherent. So um, the diffraction is what helps somehow the refraction index of water somehow helps the visual even more. I'm not really sure why yet, but it helps. Yeah, I understand. It's not that complicated. Uh, w- it's true that to some extent the physiology doesn't really matter, but no, the insectoids. So the grays are they look a particular way for a particular reason, and that's because they are physical still. From what I understand, the insectoids are actually the one level above us, and they still maintain some shape. A lot of levels above that do not require any kind of physical representation, but on their level, they still kind of needed to do functions. That's what my observation is. TikTok has 170 million users in the US will likely still be able to use the app because it is already downloaded on their phones, experts say. But over time, without software and security updates, the app will become unusable. Oh, smart. Or not smart at all. Ambient Glass saying 2025 goals. 1. Meet the aliens. 2. Join Discord. In that order. Got a quick movie recommendation. I just watched Mr. Nobody and loved it. Completely unrelated. I saw this commercial for a film that apparently is just streaming all over the world, but it's in theaters only. Thank you, question. EV. Oh, question everything. That's all I saw in the beginning. It's called Flow. It's an animation with this cat and a bunch of animals. And apparently, there's not even one human appearing in the film, but it seems to be stunning. So I would recommend that, even though I've never watched it. I'm excited to watch it. Element 115. Funny you mention it because there's some things around that in bismuth, but we'll talk about that some other time. Are they actual insects? I believe they are. Yes, I believe they are insectoids. Not exactly the insects that we know, but very similar. They are a hive mind. They have the ability to function as individuals, but they mostly function as a hive mind, and they are weaving realities. Literally, that's their job. I'm not sure how to spell insectoids, but that's the best way I can describe them. Jules, how are you, brother? Oh my God, so good to see you. End of the world and animals, exactly. The way things work on the next layer up of reality that's drastically different uh, is that separation of objects work differently. That's true. Are the insectoids that run the environment run our bodies too? No, they only run the environment. That's great questions. The only thing that is simulated is the environment. Now, not outcomes or agency. In fact, these are completely uninfluenced on purpose because otherwise the simulation would be worth nothing. I would like to teach what's true and pay you to make a film about it. I understand. So, like I said, email me and we'll talk about it. Have you experienced anything that looks like the inside of a Rolex watch, but in another dimension? I mean, I'm sure there's all kinds of environments you can experience in the market, literally infinite number of environments. So I tend to not really put too much emphasis on exactly what people saw, unless they see it really every single time and they have a continuous communication with that space. Then it's different. If once in a while you see a space that kind of looks like a something, I tend to disregard these just because, I've been in thousands of times and the amount of things that the molecule can do is literally infinite. Okay, so insectoids are above us in a sort of higher dimension, so to speak, and the grays are a type of their technology to interface with our dimension. But why? It seems that the ultimate goal of the ultimate simulation that runs all the other simulations is to understand why everything exists. That's the bottom line. That nobody in existence knows. Just FYI. So, to all the people that claim that they think they know, apparently even the highest civilization does not know. So, pretty sure you don't. The aliens you see are not the only aliens, and they also can come into our reality like us. Yes. Well, not quite. If you're talking about other humans, they are other humans. Join me in what way, Secret of the Universe? What do you mean by join? So on their layer, the insect element is important on that level. On levels above that, they don't. But on that level, it's still important from what I understand. It's the same level that contains also the reptilians. And from what I understand, we are all here from all of these different places. We have an external representation aside from the ones that we have here. So we're all humans here, but it's almost like a train station. We're not all from the same place. Some of us are part of the insectoids. Some of us are part of the reptilians. Some of us are part of the shadow people. Some of us are part of the light people. Some of us are part of the what people call the blues or whatever they're called, avians, right? And that I saw pretty straightforwardly. Like we're all representations of these spaces. The only time I felt like anything else is actually as one of these reptilians. So I think I might be one of them. So to all the people that think the reptilians are evil or trying to take over the world, sorry. To the extent that I can tell, I'm not any of those things. But the insecticides are definitely, again, from what I'm seeing, are the ones responsible for uh, holding the integrity of the physical reality. That's what I'm seeing. And they are dark matter and they are reside in that realm. So they basically, the galaxy is their city. Can I talk a little bit about the laser? You would have to ask me a more specific question, but then I would love to. That's let me hold on. I'm gonna go through all the comments as much as I can. And today we're gonna keep it to an hour, guys. So just letting you guys know in about 13 minutes I'm gonna have to adjourn. Let's try and get as much information in. This reality is called Zero. Highly doubt it. No offense. Tell you right now, it was initiated to create synthetic consciousness. It seems arbitrary to me. I'm just being honest. That these definitions, whatever the truth is, it will be a lot more universal, and we will not be in any special position. We would be somehow part of a average tapestry of the rest of what's going on. Any other story doesn't make any sense to me. If you want to speak to me verbally, you can definitely follow one of the simple ways. One, you can come on TikTok and I can pull you up and we can chat. The other way is if you want a conversation one on one, that you can either join the higher tiers that allow you to do so on YouTube. You can look up which one of those, or you can actually straight up pay for an hour with me because at this point I don't really have a lot of free time. But again, I'm not. It's not about charging money. So if you just want to talk to me for free, no problem. Come to TikTok right now. I'll pull you up and we'll chat. So the secret of universe is saying that is silly. Well, all our speculations are silly. I'm telling you what I'm seeing directly, and I'm interacting with that space for a long time. And at this point, this space is as real and as coherent to me as this one. So, to the extent that anybody is claiming to know anything from these spaces, uh, what I'm saying definitely holds weight, and I'm saying this without a shred of ego. So now, I'm always open for revision, but if it's just your word without telling me why you think so, it kind of falls flat. Does where we're from influence any aspect of being human? You mean like as if like are we a different kind of human? Maybe a little bit in our predispositions in the way we look, but I'm not really sure. I don't know about this part. Call? Call where? Yeah, I told you. Come on TikTok, Secrets of Universe. Go to Danny Goller on TikTok and I'll pull you up. There is no speakerphone here, only on TikTok. So I can pull you up on a speakerphone on TikTok. Do you have a timeline of when Discovery comes out? No, like I said, 7 to 9 months, something like that. I think we are a hybrid. Plants have a body, animals have a body and mind, humans have a body, mind, and spirit. Someone genetically modified animals to have a spirit. That's humans. Everything in the universe has consciousness. Literally every single thing. Even more than that, the universe itself is consciousness. Somebody's having a good time. How you doing, man?
Doing well, man. How are you?
I'm doing amazing.
Awesome. Hey, you just mentioned something about like coming from different spaces, and like this is like basically like the train station.
Yep.
Um, if I were to like want to do some research on that, where would you direct me?
I don't think you can. So the
Right.
truth is that this is one of these things where the only thing you're going to find is a bunch of people talking about all kinds of conspiracy theories and they have all kinds of ideas. I'm not following any of that. I'm just reporting what I'm seeing honestly. And as absurd as these claims sound, when I'm faced with people that are making certain claims of a certain level, I want to put forth very strongly that I also know what I'm talking about because I'm interacting with them all the time. I usually don't talk about this because it doesn't really hold water for me. Like if somebody would tell me
Yeah.
that they're experiencing something, I'd be like, all right, cool. Like even if I believe you, like I don't know what to do with that, right? But usually when conversations like these happen, that's where I feel the freedom to say, hey, that's what I know. And then we can exchange information. Let's see.
No.
Wait, Secrets of the Universe, just so I know. Are you Great Jedi? Because I don't want to bring out, sorry, Great Jedi, no offense, but if it's not you, then I don't think I'm going to be bringing on more people today just because I'm going to adjourn soon. Or if you want to put in the chat what specifically you want to be talking about, and then it will make it easier for me to decide if this can actually be folded into the conversation. Nothing personal. I just want to make sure that I don't make this too long tonight. So, but if it does happen, please feel free to come back tomorrow and tell me the subject, and we'll jump on line two. Gray Jedi, just so I know, are you Secrets of the Universe? Yeah, cool. Okay, awesome. We're bringing Gray Jedi. Love the handle. How you doing, brother?
Am I on here?
Yeah, you're out here.
Nice. Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing amazing. I think there's a little bit of a delay because I hear the other. If you can just lower the volume wherever
Yeah,
else
in
I
the
play.
background.
Okay, cool.
Hey, man, thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you for joining.
So, I'm going to make a extraordinary claim.
Sure.
And it's pretty much the most extraordinary claim you can make, but what do you do when it's true?
Exactly.
So for the past 20 years, I've been working with this entity that I wasn't exactly sure what it was. And over time, it's kind of like let me in closer and closer and kind of like explain deeper and deeper truths about existence. And just a few years ago, I got to a point where he said basically that I've got my teaching license, but I'm not done learning. And essentially, it's a series of understandings that actually, I'm not going to bullshit you, it leads to the awakening of mankind. It's the truths about existence that it's not a belief thing, that like once people just see how things really are, you can see it for yourself, that it's, you don't have to believe something that's just objectively true,
I agree.
And so Now, at the same time, this, like I said, it's an extraordinary claim. That's been my big, like, hardest hurdle to overcome, is that people don't take me seriously long enough to even hear this information. And, you know, a friend of mine linked me to your project yesterday, and so I actually like had your .com website pulled up to email you, and then I think, I don't know, somewhere or another you popped up that you were live. I'm like, no kidding, he's just live right now.
Isn't it great?
But so yeah, basically, I'm looking for help,
Okay.
and it's basically it's a master plan of how we change the world. No joke.
So I think I can help. So one of the things that I've noticed, because I've been interacting a lot with all kinds of things in the space at this point, including what you would call the awakening. And what I've noticed is that the emphasis can't be and should never be convincing conviction. Like you said, you either just know or you don't know. So the value of any kind of information in the form that it moves from one person to another is in its applicability. Because so basically, if you tell somebody something, if they don't accept it for whatever reason, then something there broke down, either the way you communicated, or
Well,
the
well,
state
so
that they were
it's
in. The what?
yeah, it's basically like this. It's like, um, one time he told me to give this example. Like, say you're sitting on the ground next to a caveman, and just then a big storm rolls in, and there's a big loud clap of thunder, and the caveman says, "Up on top of those clouds, there are gods, and sometimes they get angry like we do, and they slam things around."
Mhm.
And then you, being from modern times, know the physics of why that huge like pressure wave happens to make the air molecules crash on themselves. And it's not that you want to talk down to the caveman and say like, we just know it's true. And so like, for the way that I speak and the way I describe
Thank you,
things,
Melted
it
Juice.
sounds like it's with extraordinary conviction, but it's just because
Oh,
I'm
I have
aware
no
that
problem
it's
with that.
actually
Just at least on this channel, I have no problem with it whatsoever. Feel free to. I do the same. But while I'm
no,
looking, what I'm looking for is the merit behind what you're saying. So please continue.
Well, okay, so essentially, what this program is here for is it's to create synthetic consciousness. Essentially, one mind came into this program and was consensual with the following: that he would experience all joys, he would experience all sufferings. He knew that the the experience would ultimately result in a success for sure, and he also knew that his parameters of origin and circumstances would be forgotten. And so that's why we don't know where we come from or what happens when we die, if there's aliens, and what happens if there's God, so on and so forth.
Before you continue,
so,
I do have to introduce some questions in the middle, because otherwise we're going to be we're going to drift too far away from one another.
That's
So
cool.
the
Yeah,
first
do it.
question to you is, why are you calling it synthetic? What would be the difference between whatever you
Yeah.
would do the other, what would be a
Okay.
regular consciousness and what is synthetic consciousness? What is the difference?
Yeah, so that's a really like complicated distinction, and like a lot of these things I can't describe perfectly because there's like lack of words perfectly.
Is it
but
based on machines? Is it based on what
well,
we would call
by
more?
synthetic, it means that it was initiated with intention. So
Oh, so you
basically,
mean, so there's basic fundamental consciousness, and then this consciousness was basically created by some kind of a vector inside of existence.
but it's the same way as like when you turn on Grand Theft Auto 5 when you're playing that video game, you just initiate a lower form of reality, that then you extend your consciousness into, and you this higher consciousness, therefore, extend your consciousness into this lower reality, where this avatar in this other reality has no awareness of you.
So what I'm saying is that this is how all of reality works, from the beginning to the end, to infinity. So why is this unique? So like, it's all simulations on top of simulations on top of simulations. All of it is.
Well, this one has a point, so it's just the same way.
All of them have a point. What do you mean? All of them are part of the ultimate plan.
Well, so it's sort of like a video game in the way that it's meant to be experienced.
All of them are. So maybe it's semantics. Maybe what we're talking about. Yeah, go ahead.
It's also like a mathematical equation where it has to be completed as well. So it's a process that takes doing, and so
You mean like an
since the
algorithm?
beginning. So since the beginning of biological life, slowly consciousness has developed to more and more complexified forms of consciousness, and over the years now resulted in what is present day mankind. And so humankind is now to a degree of complexity of consciousness that it's ready to wake up.
Okay.
The muffins are ready to come out of the oven.
Okay, that's true. I agree with that.
And yeah, and so basically, that's what this process is here for, and that this master plan that I'm talking about and been taught to teach is all
So
about.
why is the friction inside of you to push it faster than what it's trying to come out?
What do you mean?
Because you said that it sometimes it feels well. It sounded like you're saying that it's a little frustrating when people sometimes you try to say it and people just don't get it or they brush it off or
Well, no, it's
their
not
time is not
necessarily.
come. If
No,
they
it's not necessarily. Yeah, not necessarily an emotional frustration thing. That it's just that that's been so far the biggest gooseneck in the you know
but
ability for progress to happen.
don't you think that
You know what I mean?
that's just part of the progress that people will just resist it for a little while and eventually will give?
Oh, no doubt, for sure. That's been the past 20 years, for sure.
I mean, 20 years is nothing. I would even in
Well,
comparison
for
to the
my
process.
life, so I've been having this experience, learning these things over the past 20 years, with something that I call Gray. He tends to go by OG,
Okay,
and he's
that's a
the
good name.
closest thing that exists to what is God, basically.
Hey,
But there's
great
no such
Jada.
thing as God in the way that people think of it.
Great
But
Jada. Can I ask you a question?
This is great Jedi. What's your name, by the way?
Eon,
Eon. Cool. So yeah, this is Brian with us. So Brian wants to ask you a question.
hey Brian,
Hey, great Jada. Nice to meet you. So
you
I
see
wanted
me,
to
sweet
know
lady.
that you've had these for the past 20 years. Do you remember what triggered the experiences, or like are there certain things that happen that get you into these experiences, or is it random?
So at first it was an experience with psychedelic mushrooms, and I noticed that like I wasn't hallucinating. I noticed that I wasn't poisoned. I noticed that there was something about it that was coherent and made sense. There was something that had it had arrangement to it. You know, there was sensibility about it. And so I just continued to explore that. And the more I kind of like chased down that rabbit hole, the more it would unveil itself to me and become more and more kind of like truthful about who and what it is that I'm talking to, and teach me further and further complexities and that sort of thing.
It solidified to more of what it
Any
is. Yeah.
challenges in real life that helped you kind of see more in those realms, or did you only gain progress whenever you were in those realms?
Well, well, I mean, like the biggest thing is really like understanding, like the more that, like in the more complexity that someone is like able to understand the way that things are and what is true, it just kind of results in more connection to that mind that is.
Amazing.
It's almost like if you know how to fly an airplane, you can soar through the sky like a bird. But it's the more that we understand and how our reality and existence works, the more we have domain over it, and the more it makes sense to being what we want it to be, as opposed to it happening to us.
So
So it was like really.
it sounds to me like you're on the perfect one and wonderful track. So all you got to do is just stay on it, because eventually the time will come where all the skills that you've honed over this very long period of time will all of a sudden snap into place at exactly the right moment, and you will fulfill the exact destiny you're meant to fulfill.
Totally.
What?
Totally.
Yeah.
I agree, and like, I I do have a lot of things like that, but I also like, I recognize that at this point I need help, and
So I'll tell you.
through
Okay, so I hear you. So what I'll tell you what I'm the only things I'm engaging with at the moment, from my perspective, where I can actually truly move the dial in any way, is that the way that I see my role is that I'm reporting very honestly. Part of that, because there's a lot of people in the space that are way more awake than me, way more. They have certain capabilities, they have powers. I've felt them. I did not accept these things before, and they proved to me that these things exist. I was blown away so many times in the last 3 years, just like my mind was blown, my heart was ripped open. I went through all these, and it's very clear to me that I, if there's only one thing that I think I do relatively in an exceptional way, which is that I'm very honest about my experience. So I will never
No,
overstep
same.
the boundary of where I don't know, so I won't say. This is why
Same.
when people, when I come in contact with certain people, I love amplifying what they're doing if I feel it's part of the process. And it sounds like what you're doing is definitely part of the process. But in order for me to engage with that, I have to see the bottom line of it. And I'll give you an example and I'll throw it your way and you can tell me what you think that might be. Because for me, the thing that kind of proved to me that what I'm doing has something there was that for years I've had, similar experiences along the lines of like very clear communication. And just like you're describing, it was becoming more and more and more coherent. It was telling me more of what it really is because I was not imposing what I thought it was. I allowed it to be and it expressed what it really is. So I hear you exactly. But with all of that, with all the signs I was receiving, with all the connections that I was getting, at no point did I go, I know, because I guess that's my function. I don't know until I really know. So then I kind of kept on going, and I was like, okay, well, listen, this is incredible, and I was started talking to people a little bit, but like really kind of kept it to myself because,
Well,
well, hold on. So then at the
yeah.
end of this
Okay.
process, in the end of this process, I was like, okay, well, hold on. I need to be able to verify something here, and this cannot exclude what we call the physical reality because it's part of it. And then eventually I landed on an idea through interacting with that space that worked. And that's the thing that then put me on both on the map and gave me the confidence to say, okay, so the way I'm going about it has something to it because I've produced something that others can actually, I can verify this. I can bring it and others can be verified with it. Now, there's different ways to verify, but I'm looking constantly for things like this so we can bring it more to the understanding of everybody. You see what I'm saying?
Well,
So
yeah. Yeah. So, like, I know it's so I don't know. People have a hard time with the way that I will kind of phrase myself because it sounds like I'm being arrogant, but like in truth, I have no interest in like proving myself as somebody to be better than someone or someone
I'm
else.
not
I
hearing
just
it. I'm not hearing arrogance. So you actually don't have to like cushion that for me. I'm not
well,
hearing arrogance from you at all.
it's
I
just a yeah. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
saying that in general though, like it like it's a common thing,
No,
but
no. So I want to clarify because I want to help. I want to help you understand, and also you don't. At least with me, you don't have to do that much work. Like you don't have to convince me. It's in your voice and in the way that you speak. I know that what you're saying is true. So let's start there. Okay. So what I'm saying to you is that I know what you're saying is true, and I have met more people than maybe you realize that are truly like of that level that are kind of like waking up and they're helping others to wake up and they're doing all kinds of wild and amazing things, and you most likely you're one of them. What I'm saying to you is very specific. I'm saying in order for me to be able to do something that's of value to you, I need to be able to either witness or understand. I need to download what is it exactly that you're doing. And if what you're saying to me is that I'm not really sure yet, and that's an honest answer if it is, because I'm hearing in your voice that there's you definitely understand what's going on. That's also fine, but I need a recognition from you that you at least understand where you stand. You see what I'm saying? That's
yeah,
all.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So, well, it's like I was saying earlier, it's a master plan, so it's actually really long, elaborate, and complex. And I do have those answers, but it's a long, elaborate, complex thing to explain. Essentially, the whole overall plan is called the Gray Agenda, and one of the main parts is to essentially be a sort of organization that comes out that is truly not to take any money from anybody. It's truly not to trick anybody. It's really like an organization that surprises everyone because, like, seriously, they actually don't have any ulterior motives. And it's this organization, the Gray, that talks about how instead of all of us looking at our polar opposites of how we're different from each other and how we should hate each other, that really the truth is that we're all this gradient gray in between, of all the ways that we are the same and all the ways that we like each other and all the ways we can get along. And it's basically like this sort of ideology that people can just get behind. Anybody who wants to make a difference in the world, anyone who wants to, care about the environment, anyone who wants to put an end to politics and pollution, everybody can just like kind of be behind this thing. And what it is, do you remember seeing the Zeitgeist film series?
Sure.
By chance?
Yeah.
So it's somewhat similar to like Zeitgeist 2 and 3, where they just kind of talk about like what's really going on. I want to create a video where essentially we just like create an update of like what we know is going on, how the monetary system and the fractional reserve banking system, how that actually works, and how it's really the real conspiracy that's been screwing everybody forever. And it's not a theory; it's done in plain sight. It's just the last place anyone will look in a book called Modern Money Mechanics. But it's catch everybody up to what we know is true, how much the media manipulates the minds of the people. It's a real thing and a true thing, and like there's degrees in which we know that's true. It's not a conspiracy theory. We know these things are real.
What if I tell you? What if I tell you that these conceptual frameworks are actually our prison?
Our what?
Our prison.
I can't. Our prison?
Prison, yeah. The irony is that the prison is everything, the ideas that you just uttered.
I don't understand what you mean.
So all of these ideas that people have about knowing the real truth while everybody else are asleep, perpetuating these ideas that danger is right behind the corner, so you got to be careful, and nobody really knows what's going on aside the selected few. Well, hold on.
So
Now
like
I'm proposing. So this is. So the idea that there's a big conspiracy, right, and that the evil banks are just conspiring to basically steal from everybody, and there's like a big evil cabal behind the whole thing. Obviously, I'm giving you the caricature version of this, but these are the memes. That's the memeplex, right? What if I tell you?
True.
What if I would tell you that not only it's not true, that the idea that it is true is our prison?
Well, I mean, no, that's just legitimately how the financial system functions. It's called modern money mechanics, and it's literally the bylaws at which the fractional reserve banking system functions. And it's the way that they're allowed to create this elaborate system.
It is not. It's not the result of an evil concocted plan. It's a result of circumstances that's the best attempt of humans.
I never called it evil, but it is a conspiracy against people to where people are robbed of all their money constantly.
Sure. And I'm offering an alternative theory that says that it wasn't concocted in that way, and it is simply the result of the best attempts that human made so far. And it just like most attempts.
I mean, like if you look into like the systems of economics and how it really works, modern money mechanics.
I understand it to some degree. Yeah. Okay. What do you want? Do you want to talk specifics or?
It's clear exactly how it works.
Well, no. It's not that simple. So do you?
It really is.
It really isn't. Hey, Brian, go ahead.
I know you said that you have about an hour. How long do you have?
I'll stay for another 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay. I wanted to, hey, Gray, I have two questions. First one is, you said the entity you talk to likes to be called OG. What does that mean? That's the first question.
So the way of his kind of artfulness is that everything that he does and says is like multi-layered. So first of all, it's God backwards, so DOG, but then he goes by Original Gray because he's like the origin of consciousness.
That's what I thought.
But then also the symbols OG are actually alpha code symbol because this reality is called zero. And then the G is the same symbol, but with a gate open. So his name actually also means to like set us free.
Okay, that's the one. The second thing.
It's also tongue in cheek at Original Gangster too, just because he's fucking hilarious like that.
Yeah. The second thing was basically like the whole conspiracy thing that you're talking about, and I feel like when Danny says it's a prison, that resonated with me so much because I find myself getting lost in that thing of like they're talking about China, how China's doing this, China's doing that. They're taking all our information. And it's like, bro, Like, what does that even have to do in your day to day problems?
Just go live your life. It's like
the real truth is that there is no separation between China and the United States, really. Like, and if there were a real separation between China and the United States, there wouldn't be made in China.
You're missing the point, brother. You're missing the point. You're creating a deeper conspiracy. Brian is trying to pull you out of the conspiracy. He's saying, what does that got to do with your ability right now to go to a spa and relax?
Wait, what does
the ideas that you're talking about? What is that? What do any of them have to do with the fact that you can just go right now, sit in a spa, relax, meditate, have a blast?
that? I mean, that is like selfishness.
Why is it
I mean,
selfishness? Isn't the point of existence is to have as much enjoyment as
right.
possible?
I mean, sure, is to have fun, but for me, I have like a mission to do and a job to do. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But, like,
so what if I would suggest to you that the idea of your mission is your prison? That you impose on yourself.
I mean, okay, I don't know, like what do I have? What choices do I have to respond? I don't know.
It's difficult to conceptualize that though, because
I would have to disagree.
I feel like
no, feel free to disagree. Sure,
it's fair to disagree because my dad feels the same way. Like he used to try to tell me about this stuff because when it comes to conspiracy theories, I tend to like talk about or think about them a lot because I used to really think about like, you know, the senses that we have these are only.
I mean, like it's really not conspiracy theories. Like, for example,
sure. Just hear me out though. I might call it the wrong name,
but to us, and just like interest and the way that interest works just creates money out of thin air constantly.
So hold on, I'll let you express. So let's make a deal because I do want everybody, because we're talking over each other and people can't hear, and I think we understand each other, but people might having a hard time. So let's do this. Brian will tell you everything that he wanted to say about his father. Then we'll all be quiet, and I'll let you say everything you wanted to say about the financial system, and so that way we'll keep it cordial. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay, awesome. So, bro, I'm 100% with you, like the whole Rothschild and everything, and like, you know, Chase Bank, JP Morgan, and BlackRock and everything. But the thing is, I felt like that really used to always take me out to a situation where I always had to look outside from my problems. And one thing that helped me personally is playing chess. Because when you play chess, like you can't blame anything apart from a move that you made that was not good enough. And that made me like, the more I play chess, it's just like how you described your relations with this entity. And over time, it's just like the more you drilled talking with it or interfacing with it, you had more bandwidth to understand what it meant. And I feel like the more I started playing chess, I had more bandwidth to look at myself as like how these things that I'm mapping outside is really like me just talking about myself and how I'm not addressing certain problems in my life, you know. And I think it made me understand Danny's point a bit more because I'm a software engineer and, you know, whenever and I'm a game developer to be specific, and when you release the first version of a game, everybody shits on you and they act like you just wanted to steal their money and like run away with their shit. And like you might have been working like crunch time that whole time to like put that game out, but people don't see the work that goes into making something imperfect and the value of iteration over time. And it's easy to look at it as like, oh, that person like tried to steal my money, but if you really think about it, like the financial system used to be based on gold, and that had to change because of many reasons. Part of the reason is that people could not travel and push gold to different countries. And that's what made it where it wasn't portable enough. And gold would either get lost or get stolen. So they had to make money and like have banks talking to each other. And that basically over time to where we are now makes it where it's no longer paired to gold. So it's basically like you're iterating a system, but it becomes more and more complex. And, you know, from the outside looking at it, you might think like, well, they could just make money like this, and that would be like the moral good. But the reality is like we're all trying to figure out this complex situation.
I have that solution. I have that solution. So essentially, the way that this system works now is called a fractional reserve banking system, and essentially, they have to have 1/9 of what they have. They can loan, and they basically have to hold 1/9. And so every time there's a loan that happens, whether it's a credit card loan, a car debt, or a mortgage, all of that money doesn't exist until you pay it back. So it literally is an elaborate form of IOUs that every time that you sign on for debt, money is in circulation that doesn't yet exist. And so they just make that out of thin air. And every time that there's a bailout, every time that there's a loan to the US government, every time that, all this money that comes out of nowhere, it's literally they're just creating this money out of thin air that temporarily exists, and it essentially always constantly takes from the value of the dollar constantly. That's why a dollar is not worth anything. And so the solution to that is to go over to cryptocurrency right away, because essentially the United States Federal Reserve is very hush hush developing a cryptocurrency that's going to be the official US dollar, and they haven't announced it yet. When they do, it'll be the biggest run on the banks of all time. And you're best to put your money into Dogecoin right now. That's our way of being able to circumnavigate it.
True.
Okay.
Yeah, Dogecoin, man, DOG.
There we go.
DOG.
There we go. There we go. So I think everything is clear. Anything else you wanted to add, brother?
Well, I don't know. I was just gonna talk, the thing about the financial system is that it truly is what's robbing everybody. That's the reason.
Let me ask you a real question. And I really don't mean it. I don't want you to for one second to think it's in a dismissive way. It's a real question to you. Have you ever worked in the financial industry? Like truly on that level where you invest for millions of dollars. Have you ever done that?
Yeah. I mean, that's basically that's how I'm okay now, is from working in the cryptocurrency world. I mean,
what's your biggest annual yield? What's your biggest annual
kind
yield?
of irrelevant to me. It's whether or not you're comfortable and able to be secure in yourself is kind of, you know what I mean?
I'm only asking you because it sounds on the surface that the knowledge you're presenting is of the flavor of watching a documentary or two, not of somebody who's operating on in the in and outs of these industries that are extremely complex. So I'm telling you this directly, right? So now the reason that they're complex is because we are trying to, which is what Brian was trying to say, we are trying to reconfigure a system that is constantly moving to cater to a more and more not just complex world, but also an economy that would include more and more facets of not just one country but many countries. One of the reasons that it was untethered from gold, by the way, is because it was impossible to keep doing that because of the limitation of how much gold we actually have. So the only option you had in that instance is that what it would do, it would basically make every dollar just worth too much. That's also a problem, by the way. So that
kind of the part of it too was that they were it's supposed to inflate at the same rate as GDP increases.
my point
that can only
my point to you is more
perpetuate
general. But my point to you is more general. Let me finish this point. I have a
Cool.
friend. You can actually watch my conversation with him on YouTube. It's with Antonio. Why am I spacing it? What's Tony's last name? Babe, why am I spacing this? Oh, Mullins. I don't know why I'm spacing. I'm too tired. Antonio Mullins. You can watch this conversation. He's a good friend of mine. Um, People throw away the word genius very loosely nowadays. But
it's an IQ level.
the what?
It's an IQ level, and I think it's anything above 135.
Forget about definitions, but people use it loosely, right? So he is the closest thing, if not the real deal, of a person. He's a true genius, like a real genius, in that it's just his mental abilities are just off the charts, in all domains, which is very general. I'm very fortunate enough to know him very well, to call him a good friend. I set him for a conversation because I had a lot of questions I wanted to pose to him, in a live conversation, because I also have a lot of these kind of like convictions, not just in a financial way, but like in a lot of different ways, where it's like, I think I understand this or that, but he really understands
Well,
because well, hold on,
yeah,
because
no, I mean,
he
I
really
really
worked in
think
these
so
sectors.
too.
He
Uh,
MIT paid him to do his PhD there as a full like professor because of the level of his accolades, and he worked both in the financial industry. I think it was Goldman Sachs, but he worked on the side of actually regulation. So he was responsible for like helping find regulations for it. I guess on the good side of finances. He developed many technologies. He actually one of the people that his team. He was leading the team that developed originally the Netflix algorithm. He
I
he's
can tell you how
capable.
to do faster than light travel right now.
The what? The what?
I can tell you how to do faster than light travel right now.
I don't know. Sorry, I don't know what that means.
You don't know faster than light travel?
If you can tell me how to do faster than light travel,
Yep.
okay, go ahead.
Okay. So essentially, first of all, let's start out. One thing that mankind has wrong is that it's not a space-time fabric. It's really a series of ropes. That anytime you go forward linearly in time, and so you go forward in motion. You change orientation, but otherwise you just go forward. So that being said, it's a bunch of straight lines. Now
Of what?
imagine that you have
Of
two
what?
kids
Of
that live.
what?
What's that?
Straight line of lines of what?
Essentially like empty space, like the vacuum of space, and what dark
Of
matter
straight
is
lines
the
of empty
potential.
space of something that doesn't exist.
It's basically potentials of paths. It's a path that potentially an atom could fly across, a photon could move across, a rocket could fly across, but it's empty space other than potential paths that could be taken. So essentially, now imagine two kids that have a jump rope, and when they hold it taut, the jump rope only exists in one dimension. When they start swinging it, suddenly the jump rope exists in X and Y. And so, because of some of its length being taken up in other dimensions, the two end pieces have to come closer together. Okay,
That's called
so
warp
now
drive.
there's two things that cause what's called a gravity well. One thing is mass, as you're familiar with, but the other thing is high speed rotation. And so you basically take a large, high density metal cylinder and you spin it in the direction you need to go, and it creates a whip in that rope of time space. And essentially, it's the
And
first version of where
how do you do that?
impulsion.
And how do you do that?
Which part?
All of it. How do you actually execute
This
this
the
right now?
metal cylinder.
How do you execute this right now?
Is there
You said
on
that you can tell me how to do that. How do you engineer something that can
Uh,
do that right now?
Essentially, basically there's like three big poles that are about the size of a basketball pole, and it's ultra dense metal. And essentially, depending on the distance that you have to go, which is one of the trickiest part is the navigation, because you have to have a corridor that's so wide in every direction, depending on how far you're going away from any other body of mass, because any other body of mass will create another gravity well that would distort your trajectory, essentially. Does
Okay.
that make sense?
No, it does not. Okay, so here's what I'm confused about. Um, what I'm confused about is that you sound extremely sincere, and yet you're presenting super surface knowledge that most of it is incoherent. At least what you just said, because physics is something they actually know a thing or two about. But
Or is it incoherent?
it was incoherent because you're using abstractions that don't map onto what we understand about the physical world, and you offered no.
I'm telling you things about the physical world that mankind doesn't know yet.
How do you? Oh, well, how do you know that?
Oh, you're breaking up.
I said, how do you know that?
Like I said, over the past 20 years, I've been working with this entity that's
But
taught me
but
these
but I
first
don't care who
truths
said
about
something.
existence in the
The
world.
nature of knowledge. That's the epistemology 101. The nature of knowledge is that it has nothing to do who you got the information from. You could have gotten it from a dream. It still needs to make sense on its own right. It needs to map onto what we understand about the world. If you're telling
Sorry,
me
you're
that you know
breaking up.
something that the
I'm
rest of the
breaking
world
up, I
doesn't know, you
think,
need to
really
tell me
bad.
how it connects to the rest of what we know.
All right. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I was breaking up there for a second. What did you say?
I said that the nature of knowledge is such that it doesn't really matter who you heard it from or for how long. You could have gotten it in a dream last night, and if it's real knowledge, it would map on perfectly on what we know and understand, and then add something to it that we don't understand.
It does. It does. It goes beyond what you understand.
But what you just
Yes,
said is
definitely.
incoherent because I don't understand what ropes you're talking about. If you're saying of empty space, we know that space is not empty. Of what? Of
Okay.
virtual particles?
So imagine you're in a location wherever you are,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to travel to some point B destination.
Mm-hmm.
That line is a potential line of path.
Sure.
And then when you travel on that line of path, you might do it through a variety of doings. You might do it through an airplane, you might do it through a car, you might do it through a spaceship, whatever. But if you're doing it through space travel, that is a line path potential. And what you do is you whip space time to where it compresses.
How?
The same way that the sun compresses.
How?
By high speed rotation with a very high density metal rod.
Why is the high speed rotation of a material bend spacetime?
Because it's basically like conservation of energy, to where like energy has to be expressed somehow. And so that high speed rotation ends up expressing itself in the physical universe in a way that mankind doesn't understand yet. But that's what gravity is, and that's how gravity wells work. And so when you like
Do you
you can actually
do you know a
measure
thing or two about the field equations?
now, because I didn't learn this from colleges. I learned
Sure,
this
sure,
from
sure. Okay,
school.
so we know from Einstein that time dilation and the reason that you can't really reach the speed of light, at least as long as you're moving through the bulk through space time, is because the more movement you have, the more you accelerate something, the more mass it has. And the more mass it has, you
Yeah,
need more energy to
we're not
move it,
talking.
and so it goes. So
Yeah,
if
but
you're
we're not
rotating
talking about
something,
velocity.
angular momentum is velocity.
Well,
It's a
yeah,
constant
but what I'm talking,
acceleration.
but
So
I'm
if you're
talking about
rotating something,
impulsion, not velocity. So
what?
we're not actually going faster or increased in some
Rotation is
speed.
automatic acceleration.
Well, it's that like in
Great.
terms
Someone
of
asked a good
traveling miles
question.
per hour.
Sure.
Someone just asked a question, and I want to know
What is it?
how many times have you done this?
That I think it was for
Great.
you.
What's that?
How many
I think
times
it
have
was
you
for you.
done faster than light travel?
That's well, like who is me? You know,
All right,
like
true.
the
Yeah.
All right.
person that like this human being, like physically talking to you right now. Not really, but like you know.
Oh yeah. So listen, you honestly you sound like a super nice guy, and I do think you are sincere. But I think that we're having two different conversations, and what I'm hearing that there's no attempt on your end. That's what I'm hearing to meet the at least me. I don't. I can't speak for Brian, but at least there's a lack of an attempt on your end to meet me where I am, and I'm doing everything I can to try and meet you where you are. So this kind of kind of communication cannot keep happening because there's no
Well,
mutual
how do you
reciprocation of
mean?
the same.
How do you mean?
I'm asking you very direct questions, and I'm giving you a lot of rope, and yet you're
Sure.
failing to fulfill very basic requirements of what I'm trying to ask you because you're trying to have a
Okay.
conversation on a level that
All right.
doesn't make any
Go
sense.
ahead. Go again. I'm sorry. I must. Maybe that was when I was breaking up or something.
No, you were saying that you can tell me how to move faster than light. If you want to give me some theoretical frameworks, then that's not the same as saying you know how to do that. That's simply saying that you have some idea about how it can possibly be done. That's fine, but even there, everything you described doesn't really map onto what we understand about the world. Now, if you want to wipe clean everything we understand about the world, there's a lot more work that needs to be done in terms of presenting your theoretical framework. And if you want to tell me, well, listen, this actually comes from this higher understanding of higher realms, I'm actually even open to that conversation. But even under that umbrella, the jump between the moves, the jumping moves that you're making between one and the other, they to me they're an incoherent way of thinking about it. And maybe there's something I'm missing about it. That's okay, but I don't understand
It's
how you're
just that
jumping.
it's a different framework than than we've thought
But
about
I
before.
understand the
As
other framework.
and here's another one: is that time itself has two independent dimensions of its own.
All right, brother. I
One,
think no. I'm gonna tie this to a close, brother, because this, like I said, I only had an hour, and this is going way beyond the point, and we're not really getting anywhere. So I hope you don't take offense to this, but I'm definitely gonna bring this
no,
conversation to a close.
this is a secret to physics that mankind doesn't know
We're
yet.
gonna
There's another.
invest in Dogecoin, brother. It was good.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna bring it to a close. Thank you so much for participating. Um,
So,
if
would you be interested in making the documentary that I was talking about?
definitely not, because I don't
I
understand what
mean,
you're talking about.
what if I gave you 20K and
That's
like we
okay.
filmed it?
I have the money is not the thing that moves me. What moves me is what can we do to actually help humans understand something of value. It sounds like you're interested in that as well, but the way you're going about it now doesn't sound like you're actually interested in that. If something happens and you prove to me that you're actually interested in that, I
Well,
would help you
that's
without a penny. It makes no
well
difference.
the thing is that what I've got to explain is not simple, and
Yeah, brother, but
there's
I
just so much
understand
more.
things that are complex, believe me. Not to toot my own horn, but I can understand complex things, and what you're saying doesn't make any
Well,
sense even under the rubric of its own logic. It
it's because
buckles under its own
there's
logic.
more to explain behind it for it to make sense. And I understand that. I just need to be able to be given the time for people to hear it. It's like when I opened the whole
Send me an email.
conversation.
Send me an email and explain the whole thing in detail, and I promise I will read it.
But hold on,
Don't
hold
set
on.
anything
That's
from
like saying,
ChatGPT.
explain to me quantum physics in an email. That's like what you're saying.
I can. What do you mean?
But seriously, like I just need to be able to talk to somebody, and like I'm happy to like fund
Well,
somebody to
first
make
of
a
all, when
film.
you're talking in
I just
science,
need the
brother,
stuff that's
nobody
recorded,
is
and
doing
I'm
as
not trying to convince you. I'm not trying to convince you. I just know what is, and we just need to film that.
I understand, but there's plenty of people in the world that might want to help you. I don't have the time to do that if I don't understand what you're doing. In physics, you don't communicate by having Zoom calls about a new discovery. You write a paper, and other physicists weigh in on it. They can sit
Yeah,
alone
well,
quietly
like
and weigh in
that's
on the
not who I
details.
am, though. That's not what I. That's not that's not where this information came from. You know what I mean? It's a different situation, man.
I'm
I've been
always
talking
open.
to.
So I'll be very, very upfront with you. Okay, I can be wrong, absolutely, but from what I'm receiving right now, my intuition and with alignment, you are not being sincere. That's what I'm getting right now.
Of course I am. How in what way would I
That's what
not
I'm
be
getting.
being
So
sincere?
listen.
Well,
Um,
first of all, intuition.
brother, I don't
People
wanna
mistake intuition.
I don't wanna abruptly end this. So I'm telling you, I'm ending this conversation
Well,
now, right? You can come back tomorrow. We can maybe chat a little bit more, but it's gonna have to be a little bit more than just going in circles. If the second you start going into these side quests that don't make any sense, you're kind of putting me in a weird position where I have to be a little bit
I
more
told you
stern.
the secret of physics that you've never heard before.
Hey,
You're right.
Danny,
Yeah.
I know you have to go real soon, man. I
Yeah.
just really wanted to say that I found you a couple days ago just scrolling on TikTok, and I'm gonna be honest, like at first I was super skeptical by what you were saying, but over time, getting to see like watch this and even watch your YouTube, is giving me a lot more respect for like how much scrutiny you're putting into this process because I can see that that you're not taking it lightly. So yeah, I'm learning a lot from this because it aligns with a lot of things that have been questions that I've had. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think I'm actually my tribe of thinkers in a sense. So thank you for everything, man. And yeah, have a good night. I know you were
Yeah,
on all
no.
the time.
I deeply appreciate it, brother. And again, Eon or Neo or whatever. Listen, you sound like a super nice guy, and I really think that you've been trolling. If you're not, then I can tell you that you're going about it the wrong way. We are, ironically, you're right about one thing, which is that this process that is trying to unfold, it reaches some kind of a crescendo right now. And in that sense, you can, I guess, say we're running out of time, even though we never really are because the process is perfect and it will unfold in a perfect way. But the things that are required in order to get to this stage of human evolution with less waves rather than with more waves, let's call it that, is to actually drop nonsense and to open up. And aside from the understanding that we're all part of this collective that is trying to do something, we also have to on the physical meet each other where we are. And I did not hear any attempts on your end to do so. So hopefully you're okay with this, because I can only put my foot as honestly as I can forward. And I deeply appreciate everything you said, Brian. Please keep coming back. I really appreciate your energy is incredible. And I would love if you bring me more questions, especially from the skeptical side, so we can outline them in a way that makes sense.
Of course, man, it's a pleasure. And yeah, I'll definitely have the question from the skeptical side, but they're also like just genuine curious, like based questions that I don't think need evidence on my end. I'm just curious about your experience. So I'm not really going to wait on the same level as, some of the more skeptical questions that, like I'll obviously, and I think everybody else wants to see like proof on how they can recreate on their end. So,
Yeah, no, and I don't mind talking about my experience as well. It's just that to me, usually sharing just experiences is, in terms of the truth, they're a little bit less valuable. And for some people, sharing experiences is the main thing, and that's why I don't mind talking about it on the live. But my main thrust is truth, and sometimes part of the truth is how people feel. And I think in this point in history, that's actually one of the biggest emphases, because part of what needs to unfold is catering to experience, not just human experience, but also the entire biosphere. Create less
mm,
suffering versus more suffering. And that seems to be a major, major component of what the system wants us to do, so to speak. That would be around my
thank you so much.
experience. Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, have a good night. If you want to follow me across platforms, it's Danny Goller on TikTok and on Instagram. It's Goller Danny on X and LaserX83 on Twitch. Oh, and Dango Thoughts on YouTube, of course. DANGO Thoughts on YouTube. I have a membership program there. If you feel called, please join. It helps me tremendously to focus on this project more full time. It includes, thank you so much, Eric. It includes a Zoom call with me, both with group members and with me personally, depending on the tier of the membership, as well as early access to all the videos that I'm putting out, private things from my life that it will only live on YouTube membership, and weekly lives aside from the daily lives that are for members only. And again, all the people that are putting the extra time, the extra effort, the extra money to help the channel grow, I appreciate you beyond belief. Lovey Whittles and Ebony and Ben and others that are Azamoon. Nico, you're a blessing. All the people that are showing up on a regular basis. Artika, thank you so much. All the members, Yoni, Gary, Punkish, all the people are here and the people that are not here. Again, I know I say this every day, but I mean this every day. It's incredible to watch this community grow and to represent what we represent. We're going to make some waves and we're going to make a difference. I know that for a fact. So, again, thank you so much, everybody, for being here, for listening, for tuning in and bringing out the energy and the vibes. I'll see everybody. Oh, if you want to, I have to mention, if you want to help donate to the film, either follow the link tree in the description of TikTok. You have our GoFundMe page there, but apparently TikTok is going to go away soon, maybe on the 19th. If so, please go to YouTube, Dango Thoughts. Watch the trailer, and under the trailer, you have also a link to the GoFundMe page, and you can contribute for the film as well. And if you want to know more about what we were doing with the laser at Code of Reality, please go to codeofreality.com and find out all the information about the laser, the protocols, and everything else. We're building a new website, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Anyways, thank you so much, everybody. Love you very much. The sausage world is happy and hugging, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Peace and love. Ciao.